Hey guys, Ezra here and welcome back to another Ezra review. And on today's video, I want to review Joker, which released back in 2019. And this is me, this review basically preparing for Joker Folie à Deux or Joker 2 that's gonna be released next week. Um, and yeah, before I just want to, I guess, do like a retrospective review for Joker, and I want to share my experience watching this for the first time on theaters, and how the media reacts to the movie, So, and of course, pointing out like the amazing scenes from the movie, like my favorite moments or scenes in the movie, and also I have some criticism about the movie itself, So yeah, before we get to the review, I want to talk about my I guess the how I experienced this movie for the first time, because when I saw the Joker solo movie, I didn't exactly watch any of its trailer, and honestly, I did not feel the hype, to be honest. I was just like, oh, the Joker movie came out, okay, cool, and then my mom decided to take me to theaters to watch this movie together, because I think she knows that Joker was the enemy of Batman, and well, she didn't really like it because she didn't really understand the point of the movie. She just said, "Oh, like it's a movie about a crazy man," and I'm just like, "Dude, come on." Joker was crazy. I mean, she's not wrong, but it's also like, dude, that's not the point of the movie, But yeah, whatever. Who cares, But for me personally, I really love this movie, because it's like a really different theaters like experience for me, because when I go to theater to watch a movie, I was like, well, something I was like happy or having fun after watching the movie, and having some hype to see the movie, especially back in 2019, like Avengers Endgame got released, right? So everything was super hype back then, and then when I saw Joker, it's a completely different experience for me because for the first time in forever, I actually felt tense, and felt the huge amount of like suspense when I was watching the movie, because I was like, damn, I was watching this amazing movie with amazing storyline that I think my brain just could not handle it back in the day, back when I first watched it on theaters, because I don't know how to react sometimes, like I know that sometimes I react, like super scary or super sad in a way, but I feel like for the Joker movie, it's a completely different experience for me, because I just don't know what to say sometimes. After I finished watching the movie, I was actually just like, catching my breath for the first time, and I was like, oh, like, oh, okay, I just finished watching the movie, and like, I never felt that, on any movies before or after Joker, to be honest. I was like, damn, dude, like, it's like one of the experience that was so unique for me. It was so different, because I was so into the world of the Joker. I was like, damn, I was like, it's just mind-blowing here and there, and of course, after I have to like rewatch the movie a couple of times, that's where I fell in love with the movie, and I found out that it's actually pretty rewatchable, because I thought that this kind of movie is gonna be like, oh, you watch it once and then that's it, but no, like Joker, in my opinion, is actually a really rewatchable movie, because there is so many moments that you could analyze, you could theorize, and of course there is some moments that I personally like, and I want to rewatch it again over and over again, and yeah, it's an amazing theater experience for me, so that's a great things, but yeah, I also want to say the direction for the movie itself is pretty weird, especially how the media reacted to the movie, saying that it was dangerous, blah blah blah. You heard this before back in 2019. It was all bullshit because all that inspire people to do is just dancing on a staircase, dancing on the Joker stairs, and that's it. It's a really stupid moment back in the day, but yeah, for the review itself for the movie, I think we're gonna start with the positive aspect first, so obviously spoilers. If you haven't watched the first Joker movie, then do not watch this review. I absolutely love this movie, of course, and I think I want to share my favorite scenes of the movie, and I guess before, I guess I want to talk also about the performance, like Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck or the Joker are absolutely amazing. I'm so happy that he won an Oscar for that role, because I think the way Joaquin portrays Arthur here are actually just a weird guy, but you can actually sympathize and understand him, because he's the guy with mental illness, and everybody around him just like, doesn't really give a shit about him, he has this illness that makes him, laugh the entire time, even though that nothing funny is happening, but every single time he felt nervous or sad, he just laughed, and it's just really hard to watch, but at the same time, it's also amazing to watch because the laugh, man, the Joker laugh in this movie are actually the best Joker laugh, in my opinion, it was so it was based on a real life like illness or disease, you know, which is okay. That's great, you know. But it's also like the way the laugh was actually executed by Joaquin Phoenix himself. It's just damn, dude. I was like super mesmerized by that laugh for the first time, you know. Especially watching that on theaters, I was like, damn, this is the best Joker laugh, you know. I absolutely love that, you know. But I also like the way the series kind of like comments on, you know, society obviously, but also like how the medical health care for like illness people, you know, like sometimes those people doesn't get any treatment, you know. And I think the whole movie message is about, you know, what causes violence to happen in the first place, you know. And I think that's a pretty good message, you know, like you should be nice to everybody essentially, you know. That's the message that I'm taking from this movie, you know. But besides that, you know, I absolutely love how Joaquin portray Arthur as this basically like he has a dream, you know, he has a hope, but he doesn't necessarily know how to achieve that, you know. Like he could try multiple times, but sadly like it's just a really hard journey to get to, you know. And on top of that, he also has a mother, you know, named Penny Fleck, played by Francis Conroy, you know. And I love there is a mystery to this plot point between Penny and Thomas Wayne, you know. Obviously Thomas Wayne is Batman's father, you know, and there is this theory that, oh, like Thomas Wayne and Penny Fleck actually, you know, have sex, you know, and then Arthur was actually their child, you know. But the movie never actually make that clear, you know, because again, you're watching a Joker movie, you know, and Joker quote this from the comic book, obviously, where, you know, if I have a past, then I prefer it to be multiple choices, and that's exactly you're getting in this movie, you know. So I don't exactly know if Arthur is going to be, I don't know if the second movie will explore this mystery, if Arthur was actually Thomas Wayne's biological child, you know, and then Bruce Wayne is gonna be, you know, his brother essentially, you know, or like half brother, you know. Or maybe Penny are just crazy, and then she's just imagining this entire scenario, you know, because it's all possible, you know. Because on one hand, Thomas Wayne is a rich guy, so he could definitely cover it up, you know, all of them, you know. But also he could also be telling the truth to Arthur that, hey, like your mother is just crazy, you know. Either way, I don't know. I feel like both theory could go in a different direction, obviously, you know. So I am curious to see if they're going to explore that in the second movie, you know. And besides that, you know, I also want to share my favorite scenes of the movie, which is the talk show scene in the Tonight Show with Mariah Franklin, you know, played by Robert De Niro, you know, which is also like another fun casting, you know, or, which I guess you could consider as a, you know, on the nose casting, you know, because this movie was based on Martin Scorsese movie, you know, like Taxi Driver and the king of comedy, you know. And I want to talk about that later in the videos, you know, about the similarities between these three movies, you know. But yeah, the talk show scene in my opinion is like the best scene in the entire movie, you know. And I think it's gonna be like I guess it could be considered as the Oscar moment, you know, because again, the way Joaquin Phoenix are acting in this scene are really mesmerizing, you know. I remember watching this for the first time on theaters. I was so into it, you know. I was actually understanding and kind of rooting for Arthur there to deliver his point, you know, in live on television for the first time, you know, where he was super angry for being mistreated by society, you know, by the system of Gotham, you know. And then he is also pissed at Mariah Franklin because Mariah basically, and he is also pissed at Murray because Murray basically showed his video doing a stand-up comedy, and he just shared that as a way to mock Arthur, you know. So now he's invited to the show, so Murray can actually mock him even further, you know, because you know, Murray thinks that, you know, this guy are an idiot, you know. And it's like, well, not really, because Arthur are genuinely pissed off by Murray Franklin, you know, calling him out of his bullshit, you know, that he is awful, you know, for playing his videos, you know. And of course the rant with Thomas Wayne and Gotham City, you know, thinking that everyone is going to accept it like good little boys, you know, that, you know, they won't go werewolf and, you know, go wild, you know. Which I absolutely love the entire writing and the entire dialogue, you know. And of course the performance by Joaquin Phoenix, you know, is just so great, you know. And of course the scene ends with, you know, Joker killing Murray live on television, you know. And yeah, that scene really terrifies me, man. It makes I was so shocked to see that happen, you know, especially on you know, on theaters. You know, I was like, damn. I was like, out of words, I was like, oh my god. I was like taken aback by that action, you know, like Arthur shooting Murray there. I was like, damn, dude. Like it makes me scared of him, you know. And I think I mean, that's a great thing, because again, like you could sympathize with Arthur Fleck, but at the same time, when you start murdering people, obviously that's like the point where you don't have that you don't really need to sympathize with him, I guess, because like he's turning bad, like I guess you can understand why he is turning bad, but at the same time, you also realize that the things that he did was bad, So I think back to the media's reaction, I think the media's reaction was a bit too much, where he thinks that they think that the audience was stupid enough to accept that as like, oh, we should do this to the people that we don't like, It's like, no, of course not, there's a wrong thing whether you like it or not. And I think all people are are smart enough to say that which one are the moment where you can understand and sympathize with Arthur, but there's a moment where you stop doing that, because what he does was wrong, because he kills people, obviously it's a wrong thing to do, even though the people that he kills are dickheads, at the same time. But yeah, that's a great scene. I absolutely love it, 10 out of 10 there. And I also want to mention the score by Hildur Guðnadóttir. I think I might mispronounce her last name, I apologize, but Hildur does a great job for the score of this movie, because I think the score in this movie was so mesmerizing, because obviously the directing by Todd Phillips, the cinematography by Lawrence Sher is great, so like all these elements combined together with Joaquin Phoenix's performance just makes an excellent movie. Like visually it's excellent, like it was dark and gritty. I love it, and of course the score are just great. I think this is the first time where I was like super appreciating the score that was put on cinema, because I think back in the day, yes, I like music in movies, I always love them, especially in Marvel movies, sure, but I feel like the Joker movie is the first time I acknowledged that, damn, this score is great and it should won an Oscar, and it did, so that's great, so both Joaquin Phoenix and Hildur Guðnadóttir actually won an Oscar for for their performance, you could say that, so that's a great thing, and I'm so glad, I'm really glad that she came back to do the score on Joker too, but yeah, I also want to mention this one scene in the apartment, where basically Arthur trying to prepare himself to the Moira Franklin show. He got a visit from Randall and Gary, where Gary actually has a dwarfism, and he actually sympathized with Arthur, he's actually nice to Arthur. And Randall is well, he's a dickhead, you could say that, because I think there is also another mystery whether Randall actually give the gun to Arthur, or actually Arthur just like imagining Randall to give him the gun, we never know the truth, I guess, but I always believe that Randall is the one who gave the gun to Arthur, and that's why he, in this scene, he's trying to like convince Arthur that, hey, you're my boy, you're not gonna betray me, right? And then Arthur decided to kill him, and again, when I watched this for the first time on theaters, I was like super shocked, because I think back in the day I was like kind of desensitized with like the slasher movies, that there's a bunch of stabbing obviously, and I was like, okay, well, I could take it, and then the Joker movie came out and he stabbed Randall with a scissor, and I was like, damn, I was super terrified when I was watching those scenes, I was like, dude, like I was like closing my eyes, and it's just like I was like taken aback by the violence, you could say that, in the movie, and I think again that's another great example that again I was super captivated by this movie, and of course we get to see Gary there, and I think some people on my audience are actually laughing when Gary couldn't reach the lock in the door, and I feel like this is coming back to the Arthur quotes in the Moira Franklin show, where he said that comedy is subjective, Murray, isn't that what they said, and I feel like this scene is a direct reference to that, because like in this moment you shouldn't laugh, because there is a huge potential that Gary will be killed by Arthur, we never know what's gonna happen, because this guy is crazy. And I remember watching that on theaters, I was like super terrified for Gary. I was like, oh my god, please don't kill the little man, come on, man, thankfully he didn't, but I feel like at that moment I was like, okay, some of my audience are actually laughing. That's pretty weird, and I feel like, well, I guess comedy is indeed subjective, isn't it? But yeah, that is pretty interesting, I guess, to analyze that, I guess, because I'm pretty sure that some reviewers back in 2019 also said that some of their audience also laugh at that specific scenes, which again, you shouldn't be laughing because like, it's supposed to be scary, but well, it happens, what can you do, right? And I also want to mention another scenes where I think it's another classic or iconic scenes from the movie, where Arthur becoming the Joker, putting the Joker makeup, the suits, and then he's descending down the Joker stairs, and then he is dancing. And I remember watching that for the first time. I felt happy, I was actually like super, like I'm having fun with Arthur there by just dancing, on the stairs. And I was like, damn, I think I remember I was actually like subconsciously I was smiling, before Arthur there when he started dancing on the stairs. I was like, damn, this is great, This is, I think it's also the scene that people try to mimic multiple times on the stairs, obviously, and I think it's also a great visual as well, because previously you see Arthur climbing up the stairs, everything is dark and gritty, it's obviously symbolizing him trying to find hope, try to basically keep fighting even though his life are weighting him down, and then eventually he decided to say, well, fuck that, I'm just gonna descend into madness, which is obviously a clear representation that he's descending into the stairs, and then he's just embracing his identity as the Joker, he's just dancing, and yeah, I was smiling for some reason, I guess. I don't know if people found that weird, but I was subconsciously smiling for the first time. I remember that because throughout the entire movie, I did not smile because it was so intense and dark. But when that dance scenes came, I actually smiled. I remember that emotion for the first time. I was actually happy, which is like, wow, okay. I was actually super engaged, for this character, But yeah, besides all the positive thing, guys, there is this one negative aspect of the movie that I want to mention, because I think toddphilips already make it clear that he actually took some inspiration from Martin Scorsese movie, specifically Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy, So after watching Joker, I decided to watch these two movies because again, it was mentioned by toddphilips, so I was like, oh well, I love Joker, so I might love this two Martin Scorsese movie, which I did, But I gotta be honest with you guys, watching these two movies kind of like make me kind of like diminish my review for Joker, just a tiny bit, because again, I just found out that it wasn't exactly a homage to Taxi Driver or King of Comedy, but it's actually, I guess you could say, a copy of it, because I think one of the criticisms about the Joker movie are actually the lack of originality, and I would be, inclined to agree with that because it was really similar to Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. Sometimes makes me wish that I did not watch the movie because I love Joker, but at the same time, Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy are still an excellent movie, It was directed by Martin Scorsese, obviously, and stars Robert De Niro as the two characters, I think Travis Bickle and Rupert Pupkin, I think, and then Robert De Niro are also cast in this movie as Murray Franklin, So that's why I think that the casting was so on the nose there. Well, I took some inspiration from the two movie, it stars Robert De Niro, so let's just cast Robert De Niro in this movie, so there's that. I mean, De Niro is great in this movie, don't get me wrong, but I feel like the similarities between the characters and the plot point, I was like, man, it was so similar, I kind of wish that the Joker movie did something a bit more different than that, but yeah, I mean, again, it doesn't make me hate the movie, but at the same time, I think that is a valid criticism that this movie is not entirely original, and I think even Quentin Tarantino, when he does interview in the podcast, he also mentioned that this is like a modern day Taxi Driver movie, it's like, yeah, he is right, because it was so much more visual reference throughout Taxi Driver, and even the plot and the entire movie itself, it felt like a Scorsese movie in a way, so yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's my my criticism for the movie. Do you guys agree? Or do you guys actually disagree with this? So yeah. I guess that's my review for Joker. I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with Joker Folie à Deux. Because I think I'm really hoping that it could be a good movie. Like I don't think the sequel will top the first movie. I think that's nearly impossible. But hey, I hope that the sequel actually surprised me. Because I think I was excited to see the sequel, but I feel like the hype for it, I was like, okay, well, I did not expect to see a sequel, I guess, because I think part of me think that this movie should be a standalone movie, especially with the ending, where you don't exactly know whether or not it was actually Arthur just imagining the whole thing in his head, or like the whole story actually happened, and then now he just like memorizing that, and I feel like with the sequel it was answered that yeah, the entire thing basically happened, and not just on his own head, so yeah, I think the Joker sequel will give maybe more answer to the mystery in the first movie, so that remains to be seen, maybe they can like smartly claim whether or not some of them are still real or not. In the second movie they could definitely do that. But I feel like doing a sequel, I think it's just inevitable that you have to give some answer to the mystery in the first movie. Yeah, that's my opinion. So again, let me know guys in the comment section below. Like what do you guys think about the Joker movie? Do you guys love it? Do you guys what is your favorite part about the movie? And maybe you are someone who did not like this movie. Because I also heard some people did not like this movie because that it doesn't feel like a Joker movie, which, I mean, I understand that this Joker was so far from the comic book Joker, but at the same time, it was supposed to be different. It was supposed to be much more realistic portrayal, that it was supposed to be a commentary on mental illness, and how someone can use the Joker persona, to push them even further into madness, So I'm completely fine that it doesn't necessarily feel like entirely like the Joker movie from the comic book, I'm open to something different, so I think I'm completely fine with that, but I heard that some people did not like that approach to this movie, which again, I understand that, it makes sense. So again, yeah, share your opinions in the comment section below, guys. And of course, stay tuned for the Joker 2 movie reviews, that's gonna be on maybe next Wednesday, who knows, we'll see what happens, but yeah, I hope that the sequel is actually a good movie, I hope it doesn't suck, but that remains to be seen, Either way, that's my review, guys, and again, if you guys enjoyed this movie, then make sure, guys, shoot that subscribe and like button, guys, share the videos, do usual stuff, stay tuned for more videos in the future. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and always remember, guys, that's life.